We live in an era of high-definition connectivity, yet we have mastered the art of disappearing while remaining perfectly visible. Look at your message history. Scroll past the mundane work updates and the occasional grocery list. Stop when you hit those exchanges that feel like a graveyard of genuine connection, the ones that have devolved into a hollow sequence of yellow faces, thumbs-up gestures, and heart emojis. You think you are being polite. You think that by reacting with a laughing crying icon to a deeply personal life update, you are maintaining a bridge. You are not. You are actively dismantling it with a digital paper shredder. We have collectively agreed to embrace the emoji exit, a silent, coward's way of pruning our social gardens without ever having to hold the shears. We are terrified of being the villain, so we choose to be the ghost instead. We fear the confrontation of a real conversation more than the slow, agonizing rot of a dying friendship. By refusing to say, "I don't care anymore," we force the other person to realize it through our silence, effectively making them the executioner of their own relationship. It is the ultimate act of passive-aggressive ego protection, masked as social grace. The illusion starts innocently enough. Someone shares a story, a photo, or a thought. You don't have the energy to engage, or perhaps the connection has simply run its course. Instead of being honest, which would require an uncomfortable level of vulnerability and the possibility of hurting someone's feelings, you slap a red heart or a fire emoji on the message. It takes half a second. It requires zero emotional heavy lifting. To the recipient, that icon is a lifeline. To you, it is a receipt indicating you have checked the box of obligation. You have successfully avoided being labeled rude or cruel. You walk away with your moral high ground intact, convinced that your politeness is a kindness. But let's strip away the self-deception. It is not kind to keep someone on a tether of superficial responses when you have already mentally checked out of the relationship. It is the emotional equivalent of dangling a carrot in front of a starving animal just to keep it from wandering off, even though you have no intention of feeding it. You aren't maintaining a friendship, you are maintaining your image. This cycle repeats until the conversation becomes a bizarre game of charades where neither party knows how to stop. They send a picture of their new dog, you send a thumbs up. They share a struggle about their job, you send a praying hands icon. You are dehumanizing your own history together. Every icon you send is a nail in the coffin of the intimacy you once shared. You are effectively telling them that their existence in your life has been reduced to a notification you can clear with a single tap. The tragedy is that we do this to people we genuinely used to love, or at least respect. We are so afraid of the fallout of a final goodbye that we prefer this slow-motion funeral. We tell ourselves that things might pick up again later. We tell ourselves that we are just busy. But deep down, you know the truth. You have moved on, and you are too much of a coward to tell them. You are waiting for them to get the hint. You want them to be the one to stop texting first, so you can point to the silence and say, "Well, it wasn't my fault, they just stopped messaging." Consider the sheer psychological exhaustion of maintaining these zombie connections. Every time that notification chimes, there is a momentary spike of guilt, followed by the familiar, practiced reflex to suppress it with a pre-formatted icon. You are training yourself to be less human. You are training yourself to prioritize the avoidance of discomfort over the integrity of your actions. Over months and years, this adds up. You look at your phone and see a list of people who believe they have a friend in you, while you see a list of chores you are neglecting to dump. This is the hallmark of modern social decay. We have become professional at performative interaction. We trade depth for breadth, terrified that if we actually said what we meant, we would end up alone. But are you not already alone? You are surrounded by screens full of people who are essentially strangers, connected by the digital equivalent of a polite nod from across a crowded room. The irony is that the cruelty we fear, the honesty of saying, "I don't think we have much in common anymore, or I am in a different place in my life," is actually the only truly respectful thing left. A clean break allows both parties to heal and move on. The emoji exit, however, keeps the wound open, festering in a state of perpetual, low-grade uncertainty. You are robbing the other person of the closure they deserve. You are forcing them to wonder if they said something wrong, if they are boring, or if they are invisible. That is not politeness. That is a specific, refined kind of psychological violence. It is gaslighting on a microscale. You pretend everything is fine with your emojis, while the reality is that the bridge is burned on your side. You are comfortable and they are confused. And as long as you can avoid that direct, raw moment of truth, you feel like you have one. It is time to admit that we are not preserving relationships, we are hoarding them. We treat our social circle like a collection of museum exhibits, kept behind glass, never touched, never challenged, never evolved. We fear the messiness of real human interaction because it demands accountability. To end a relationship honestly is to acknowledge that things change, that people grow apart, and that sometimes love just fades. That requires admitting that you are capable of being the person who walks away. And most of us can't stomach that. We would rather drown in a sea of meaningless yellow icons than face the weight of a single, honest sentence. We have mistaken silence and deflection for sophistication, and in doing so, we have lost the ability to be truly present with those who still matter. The next time you find your thumb hovering over that icon gallery, ask yourself if you are really trying to be kind, or if you are just terrified of being seen for who you really are, someone who has stopped caring but is too weak to admit it. Stop pretending your silence is subtle. Stop hiding your indifference behind a screen of yellow faces. You aren't being nice, you're being absent. Own your decisions, walk away with integrity, and stop letting the ghosts of your past clutter your future. Politeness is the mask, cowardice is the face. Silence is the weapon, indifference is the place.